Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here. Welcome to my channel. We're still in the middle of a heat wave, which is why I put my hair in an elastic band, because if I don't put my hair in an elastic band, then I'm just going to sweat and I'm going to get sweat all over myself. So while we're in the middle of a heat wave, I have to have my hair put up. And yesterday somebody told me that this heat wave is coming from Africa. So I don't know very much about weather, but that's what they say. They say it's coming from Africa and it's supposed to get cooler. It was cooler in the middle of the night because the last couple of nights I haven't been able to have any covers on me, and I've been really hot. I had the fan on for a little while, but I'm worried about how much money and electricity it's costing me to run the fan. So I haven't been running the fan for financial reasons, basically. And then, but last night, this morning, it was a little bit chilly. But as soon as the sun came up, it's hot again. But apparently next week, it's supposed to be cooler, and I think when it cools down, I have to start helping my friend work on his garden again, because he said that he didn't want to work on his garden while it's this hot. We are in the heat wave. England is a cold country, and the houses don't have air conditioning. So when you have a heat wave, people get really hot. But that's not why I'm making this video. That was just an introduction. Basically, I'm making this video because yesterday my boyfriend and I decided we were going to have a salad for dinner. And my boyfriend said he wants us to have salads for dinner more often. And so he decided we were going to have a salad for dinner. So since we were just having a salad, I wasn't going to have to cook, which is good, because I can't cook all the time. I have too much to do. And so I lay down on my bed just relaxing for an hour, waiting until 6 o'clock when it would be time for me to fix the salad. And when I got up, I came into the kitchen and my boyfriend was just sitting there looking at his computer, and he couldn't get his programs up or anything. And I asked him what the matter was, and he said he was trying to get his computer to work. So I said, here, let me do it. And basically what had happened is he had his laptop set up to use Wi-Fi from his tablet. And I don't know what happened in that regard, but the Wi-Fi wasn't coming up from his tablet. And so I said, well, go get my phone, because I can make a mobile hotspot on my phone, and it works. I use a mobile hotspot whenever I'm doing computing on my tablet or my laptop, because I cannot afford broadband. I have to do everything on my phone. And for that reason, I can only really do one thing at a time, because I don't have enough bandwidth to do all the things that I would like to do at the same time. But that's just the price that you have to pay when you're living in poverty like I am. And then so basically when we set it up, I set it up to where he had he was getting Wi-Fi off my phone, and the Wi-Fi came up. He also had it set up for Bluetooth. I told him, I said, don't use Bluetooth anymore. You don't need Bluetooth. Don't use Bluetooth. I was very firm about that. He had his tablet set up for Bluetooth. I took Bluetooth off. I said, don't use Bluetooth. I said, you only need Bluetooth if you're like a college student sending a picture to somebody, but don't use Bluetooth. And so I got it working. I got the computer. He'd been sitting there staring at it for an hour, not knowing what to do, and he didn't want to get me and ask me. And so we got his laptop working. He's got a Chromebook, which we're not going to buy Chromebooks anymore. And then but he's able to use OneDrive on his Chromebook. He can't use like Excel and MS. He can use OneDrive, and OneDrive has shortened versions, pared down versions of the Microsoft Office suite of programs. And so I was able to call up his emails. I was able to call up his spreadsheets and all that stuff. And so I was able to help him. And then we went into his email, and I said to him, I said, look, I need to set you up some directories. So when you get your invoices, pay slips, pay statements, I think, or invoices, you can put the invoices in a directory. And when you get your pay statements, you can put your pay statements in a directory. And in OneDrive, I set him up a directory in OneDrive where he can save the PDF files of the invoices. And so basically what he has to do is he has to send an email to this company once a week and tell this company what streets he's delivered leaflets on and how many leaflets he's delivered. And so he sends that. And so what I did was I created an Excel spreadsheet for him that had the date, the number of leaflets, and the streets. And so far he's got capacity for 23 streets. And so you've got the date, the number of leaflets, and the streets. And so basically what he has to do is every week when he sends an email to this window company, he has to block off the week, like Monday to Friday. So block off the 5 days or 3 days or 4 days, and then all the streets, and block that off. And then he has to press Control-C to copy it. And then he has to create the invoice and create the email. And then he creates the email that he's going to send in another window, because if he doesn't create the invoice, the email that he's going to send in another window, the paste function won't work. So he has to create a new email in a new window, and then he can say, hi, whoever, please find attached my leaflet distribution for the following dates. We'll say Monday to Friday, okay? And then he'll paste the blocks from the Excel spreadsheet into the email, and then he'll say kind regards, and then he'll say his name. He has to do that once a week. Every day when he delivers leaflets, he has to go into his laptop. He has to go into the spreadsheet, type in the date, the number of leaflets he delivered, and the streets. He has to do that every day that he delivers leaflets. And then once a week, he has to send that email where he's copied and pasted cells from the spreadsheet into that email. And so I had to create for him in OneDrive. So they asked him, they said, what email should we send it to? And he said, send it to OneDrive, send it to the Outlook. So they sent it to Outlook, and then so I had to create, in his email, I had to create a directory called Brackenwood. So, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, and then the window company. And then I had like invoices and subdirectories under that for invoices and sub-payment and payments. And then we had to go into OneDrive, and we had to create a directory for that company. So any emails or Word documents or text or anything like that that he gets from that company will go into that directory. And then we had to create another directory for the invoices. So my boyfriend doesn't actually have to create the invoices. What he has to do is he has to send the email to the window company, and then the window company will create an invoice based upon the data that he's provided in the email. And then he has to go into the office. He has to sign the invoice. And then when he signs the invoice, they make it into a PDF file, and then they email it to him. So this PDF file, which is the invoice, needs to be saved in his OneDrive account. And they also pay him. So when they pay him, they send him an email and a PDF copy of what pay he's going to get. So they tell him what pay he's going to get. So that's a lot he has to do, a lot he has to do for just delivering leaflets. So his job doesn't just require him to deliver leaflets. And so since he's self-employed, he has to do all that himself. And the thing is I help him a lot. I help my boyfriend a lot. He's self-employed, but he doesn't make enough money as a self-employed person. So he's on universal credit. So in addition to all this system that we had to set up just so he can work for this window company, which I didn't mind doing it for him. I know how to make a spreadsheet. He is able to, if you take a spreadsheet that I've made, he's able to input data into a spreadsheet. So he could do a data entry job, but there's not very many data entry jobs anymore. But he could do a data entry job because he's able to input the data into the spreadsheet that I've created. And so when he's on Universal Credit, I have another spreadsheet, and this is on Google Docs. It's not on Excel, it's on Google Docs, that has his income and his expenses. And so every time, about once a week or once every 2 weeks, we go through and do his income and expenses. And the reason for that is because he's on Universal Credit. And so because he's self-employed, but they don't want him to be self-employed. So he has to tell UC how much money he's earned being self-employed and how much money he spent being self-employed. And I have to do that for him on a Google Docs spreadsheet. And so I do a lot for him. I help him out a lot, And then so if he has forms that he has to fill out for HMRC, I help him fill out the forms, and I photocopy those forms for him so he can post the forms and have a copy on file. And if anything that requires the computer, I help him. When I first met him, he had a dumb phone, but he needed to have a smartphone in order to deliver leaflets for another company that he stopped delivering leaflets for because he's with another company now. So he had to have a smartphone in order to do that. So we went and got a smartphone, and I helped him to learn how to use a smartphone. And then in addition to that, one time when we hadn't been together that many years, I got him a tablet. And so because he said that he'd had a tablet before, but he didn't know how to use it, so he sold it. And so I got him a tablet, and he taught him how to use a tablet, help him with his tablet. And then he's got a new laptop. I helped him get his new laptop. And so I help him a lot. I help him a lot with all this IT stuff. But the thing is that my boyfriend, he's very slow. He's very slow. And he needs a lot of help with IT. He needs a lot of help with it. Okay. And then so we've been to the doctor before. He's tried to tell the doctor that he had problems with his memory. And the doctor did a test, and the doctor said, no, you don't have problems with your memory. He's tried to tell what he has done is he's gone to the doctor, and he's told the doctor that he can do a lot of things that he can't do. He says that he can do it, but it would take him a lot longer to do it. Just like yesterday, he sat looking at his computer for an hour, And so he tells the doctor that he can do a lot of things that he can't do. And because he speaks well, they won't give him a diagnosis of a learning disability. But, even if you have a learning disability, you have to work. Because my friend who has dyslexia, he's the seat guy, he has dyslexia very badly. He can recognize a few words, he can recognize a few numbers, and they make him work. And he works as a kitchen porter, KP. And he's a very hard worker. But because of his learning disability, he can't get a job working in an office. And he's not going to be able to work indefinitely because at some point his body's going to wear out and he's not going to be able to do that heavy work involved in KP. And just like my boyfriend, because my boyfriend can't use a computer, he tried to tell the doctor he had problems with the memory. The doctor said no, he didn't have problems with his memory. I didn't want to say anything to the doctor. I didn't want to tell the doctor, look, he's telling you he can do things that he can't do. So he tells the doctor that he can do things that he can't do. And so the doctor says, well, you don't have a learning disability. So they force him to go to work. He can't use a computer. And this is just what I think. I think in this technological age that we are living in, I mean, I didn't get my first calculator until I was in my 20s. I had to do everything by hand. I didn't get my first computer until I was in my 20s. But technology has advanced so rapidly. And the way the UK government, I'm sure the US and other governments work is, you have to know how to use a computer in order to access government services. You have to. It's not it would be nice if you could. You have to. And then now the way that they go about looking for jobs, you have to know how to use a computer in order to look for a job, because there's websites called Indeed where you can look for a job, and then you can go onto a company website, and then if you want a job, you have to apply for a job on the company website, and you have to send them your CV and things like that. And I think that because this highly technical world that we are living in, that's new to older people. Old people, it's totally new to old people. I think that they need to start saying that anybody who can't use a computer has a learning disability. And I know it sounds harsh. I know a lot of smart people say, well, I'm smart and I can't use a computer. But because you have to, in order to apply for a job, you have to know how to use a computer. You have to know how to send an email. You have to know how to use Microsoft Office products. In order to access government services, you have to know how to use a computer. And I think that since everybody in this modern world needs to know how to use a computer well, I think they need to start saying anybody who can't use a computer is learning disabled. And I know my mom is in that situation because my mom can't really use a computer. She's got this friend who got her a Macintosh or something like that, and she can't use a computer unless her friend helps her with it. So a lot of people can't use the computer. But in this world we're living in, I think that if you can't use a computer, I think that you need to be given, say that you're learning disabled, because they need to be able to make provisions for these people who can't use a computer. I mean, my boyfriend, he can turn the computer on and he's able to, I help him. Like last night I had to help him. And that's the other question I have. Like if my cancer comes back, who's going to take care of my boyfriend? Who's going to help him, if my cancer comes back? At the moment, I'm taking anastrozole, which is like keeping my cancer at bay. But if I stop taking the anastrozole, there's a really strong possibility that the cancer will come back. And then if my cancer comes back, who's going to Who's going to look after my boyfriend? Who's going to help him with his IT? And the same thing with my Sikh friend. He's got dyslexia. Who's going to help him? I mean, I've got 2 people that I'm helping. And if my cancer comes back, who's going to help them? And that was what I was thinking last night. And I wanted to make this video this morning because I think it's a real serious subject. Because my boyfriend does need help. He can't use a computer. In this modern world we're living in, you have to know how to use a computer. He can turn his computer on, and if I help him get onto the websites, and I help him send an email, I help him copy and paste, I create directories for him, and I help him move emails into directories and move PDF files into directories. But who's going to do that? Who's going to do that for my boyfriend if my cancer comes back? That's just something I'm thinking about. So I'm going to go ahead and close this video because I told you all the background, and then I told you my question. Who's going to look after my boyfriend when I'm gone? Thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And it means a lot to me that you watch my videos and take an interest in my life, as pathetic as it is. And I've got lots more videos I want to make too. Bye.